What are your thoughts on cancel culture? I think there needs to be more perspective and more of a scale. There is a big difference between being a sexual predator and making an immature off-color joke 15 or 20 years ago, but the reaction seems to be the same for both and everything in between. You know, with all the people that have been cancelled, how is Chris Brown still around after that beating he gave Rihanna? Nobody is willing to deal with the dilemma of a famous POC doing something cancel-worthy because some are worried that cancelling a minority will bring about accusations of racism. As if minorities can not themselves racist, misogynistic and bigoted. Look at Nick Cannon and his anti-Semitic tweets. Yeah, nobody is willing to talk about Cap being a general asshole, not quite good enough for the job he wanted, or refusing other NFL positions. It's all about the narrative. As I get older, I've seen a lot of this stuff. The 90s were a different world than 2020. Someone who agreed with a policy in 1994 after seeing it play out may no longer agree with it. Me, for instance. The three strikes bullshit seemed like a great idea. Tough on crime, yeah, although I didn't realize it was a high school to prison pipeline for young black men until 2005 or so. I progressed out of that thinking. I didn't think gay people should get married in 2000. For no reason at all, like literally no reason for me to think that way, it was just a society push. By 2008 I absolutely thought marriage should be for everyone. I progressed into that thinking. This is what causes and awareness do. This is why people march. To show people like me that they also need rights and support and love in their mission to be happy people. So I've progressed thanks to their hard work in helping me understand their missions. What really pisses me off is someone that slams a person for having had a belief in 1998 which changed by 2012 and then calling them a flip-flopper. No motherfucker, I just grew up, I progressed. Isn't that what the whole idea of a progressive party is for? Save your angst for people that haven't changed since 1988 and still think the rebel flag is history. I think both sides of this discussion have already been said plenty of times before, but I guess I'll give my take. I think that it's dangerous to give people on the internet the power to ruin someone's life based on a 30-second clip with little to no context. Obviously, if they're being an ass, there should be repercussions, but everyone makes mistakes and that doesn't mean they're terrible people. One of my bigger complaints is people getting cancelled because a clip from 10 years resurfaces of them doing something crass, which they may not even believe anymore. I think the whole Jimmy Kimmel blackface situation is a good example. Overall, people need to watch what they do in public now because everyone has a camera, and regardless of if it's good or not, cancel culture was inevitably gonna be a thing. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I do wonder what the actual repercussions of being cancelled are though. There are some obvious times where celebrities lose endorsements or deals with brands, and sometimes it's deserved. But other than that, it isn't always clear what the consequences of being cancelled are. Is it just a loss of followers? Either way, it all seems very short term. At the rate that people are cancelled, I honestly can't keep up. The only problem is Jimmy Kimmel didn't get cancelled, because he's a far-left celebrity, so he's okay to them. If a more right-leaning celebrity was caught doing that, they'd have their career absolutely destroyed. I'm not a Republican by any means, but one thing I hate about cancel culture is the hypocrisy. When all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Cancel culture has no scale, either you're one of us, or you're literally Hitler. It has code of punishments, either everything is a hanging offense, because there's only one level of cancel, namely, all in. It also has no concept of innocent until proven guilty. In other words, it's basically 1600s justice, meted out by people who think they're the future. A few thoughts from me. First, it seems that people ought to agree on a definition of cancel culture first, otherwise everyone just talks past one another and it goes all over the place. For example, are death threats or harassment directed at activists part of cancel culture? I would argue not, because no one is trying to argue that this is acceptable. A definition I came across said it's a group effort to silence or deplatform someone, usually also attacking their livelihood, for expressing views that are within the Overton window. That last part is key. I think once you have this definition, it helps to clarify where a lot of people like myself are coming from when we say we are concerned by this. If a schoolteacher is fired for publishing extremely racist pamphlets, I'm not overly concerned. If someone is deplatformed for trying to argue that rape is good and we should have more of it in our society, I don't consider that to be cancel culture. What does concern me is that this same approach is being applied to a wider group of people who are generally within the bounds of acceptable views. This happens through scope creep. For example, yes, racists will generally be against affirmative action. But I don't think anyone can seriously argue that to be against this makes you a racist. There are genuine disagreements to have about what is the best way to promote equity and fairness. But people are being deplatformed and losing their jobs for exactly this. I find this very concerning. Secondly, I think this is an internal discussion for those of us on the left to have within our own ranks. I didn't hear anybody on the right complaining when the Dixie Chicks were cancelled for speaking out against the war in Iraq, and I doubt the likes of Breitbart and their ilk will participate in this discussion in good faith, and so they are best ignored. But that doesn't mean there's no truth to some of the excesses they're pointing out. Finally, this notion that you have to be held accountable for what you say, where did that come from? I say all sorts of garbage shit, and while I'm generally an empathetic and well-meaning person, I expect I will continue to say offensive things in the future. I'm not saying others can't call me out, but I don't think trying to get me fired or otherwise seeking to ruin my life is calling someone out. And I am shocked at how casually the people in this movement dismiss the chilling effect this is having on our speech. The Overton window just shouldn't be as divisive as it is. It exacerbated the no true Scotsman fallacy. You can't be a true Latino if you don't always vote blue. You aren't a true Republican if you don't support Trump. You aren't a true conservative if you support everyone having the rights. You aren't a true liberal if you don't support illegal immigration. I think finding dirt is nothing new. News agencies have done it forever, because dirt sells. It's just more dangerous now because of immediate social outrage. I make my living off the evening news, just give me something I can use. People love it when you lose. They love dirty laundry. Well, I could have been an actor, but I wound up here. I just have to look good. I don't have to be clear. Come and whisper in my ear, give us dirty laundry. Kick 'em when they're up, kick 'em when they're down, kick 'em when they're up, kick 'em all around. We got the bubble-headed bleach blonde who comes on at 5. She can tell you about the plane crash with a gleam in her eye. It's interesting when people die. Give us dirty laundry. Can we film the operation? Is the head dead yet? You know, the boys in the newsroom got a running bet. Get the widow on the set. We need dirty laundry. You don't really need to find out what's going on. You don't really want to know just how far it's gone. Just leave well enough alone. Eat your dirty laundry. Kick 'em when they're up, kick 'em when they're down, kick 'em when they're up, kick 'em when they're down. Dirty little secrets, dirty little lies. We got our dirty little fingers in everybody's pie. We love to cut you down to size. We love dirty laundry. We can do the innuendo. We can dance and sing when it's said and done. We haven't told you a thing. We all know that craft is king. Give us dirty laundry. Don Henley, dirty laundry. It has its good bad points, depending on what they are cancelling from. Take gaming for instance, a major company that gets a lot of stick. Looking at you, Aya. If more people boycott their titled games, not invest in their loot box features, etc., then it's argued that it's for a good cause. If fans of the games want to see changes, haven't seen any significant ones over the years, FIFA cough, I suppose, bad, in terms of people with different opinions, views that aren't entirely untrue, meaning yes, it's offensive, disrespectful to you, but if they have facts, evidence to back up what they claim, then cancelling them out is in a sense you're not accepting what they say is a fair, valid argument, which makes it come across as being narrow-minded to other people's points of view. Case on point, I haven't bought an AIR game in close to a decade. In a few weeks I'll likely buy not only my first AIR game, but also my first release day game at full retail price in many years. Star Wars Squadrons looks like the spiritual sequel to TIE Fighter I've desperately wanted, and doesn't have any loot boxes or stupid similar mechanics from what I can see. Just as boycotting when they do everything wrong is important, it's also important to send the opposite signal when they've finally learned from mistakes. I got Apex Legends and I like that you can earn your money back each battle pass, but you have to choose between buying the next battle pass or the new character BC. It barely gives you more than you spent, which adds up but slowly, and they have a second currency that can also be spent on characters and skins. Everything else I earn. I made a deal with myself that I'll only spend as much as I would on a brand new game 65 after tax. So far I'm at 50 and about to tap out early. I've played since Season 0 and finally built a computer I could play on. I've been using hobbled together laptops and desktops for years. BC, I'm fairly poor, and B, I needed something really good for my programming coursework now, so it's investing in my education. I can't transfer any of my stuff from my dad's Xbox we shared to my computer. There is no cross-save. And they are saying that cross-save will never be a thing, or at least that's what I read at the beginning of S5, which is when I started to slow down my playing and research into the game. Meanwhile, all the other games I have on console that have crossplay, which Apex is trying to do, also have cross-save. Even Destiny 2, which is another money sink that I only got for free and outright refused to buy the battle passes for, which has no crossplay, has cross-save, so I can have my items anywhere. You bring up two interesting points, the first one being cancelling brands. From what I've seen, it's almost always a person, with a few exceptions. To your gaming example, I actually think it would be better if we focused more on companies like EA and the systemic issues not just in the US, but across the world. I'm a big believer that we all vote with our dollars, or the currency of where you are from, and think that would actually help to improve things. Your second point I totally agree with. There is no disagreeing anymore, and conversations are almost never civil. It's unfortunate. I've always been a believer in, if you want to get a greedy corporation's attention, hit them where it hurts, right in their wallets. Which is why I never pay any more than necessary, but as for EA, I've played their games since the late 90s, so they've been somewhat an ever-presence to me. Lately though, last 5 or 6 years, it really has been all about things they can do to maximize their profits, but with influence from other mainstream media users, like Twitch streamers, YouTubers, etc. It's free marketing. Look what this guy won by spending all his money, this could be you. That mentality spreads like a fire, but the probability is still extremely low, which is why many FIFA players in particular moan about getting some crappy player. Side note, UK GBP is my currency. Yeah, unfortunately with the second point, people aren't open for friendly debate, it's as if you've attacked them personally, so they get defensive with their next statement in an effort to gain sympathy, make it look like you're bullying them, which I don't agree with.